Meanwhile, back on the podcast, 4 colossal nerds named Saba, Chris, Christina, and Frank have set out to take on a great darkness that has enveloped the world of fandom. With their powers of common sense and the strength to take on even the most butthurt Twitter mobs and insufferable comment section trolls. They fight for truth, objectivity, and nuance in the conversation and debate over fictional made-up shit.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Meanwhile Back on the Podcast. I'm Frank McGuire.
I'm Christina Didima.
I'm Chris Abana.
We did it!
Yeah, we
Snyder
did
Cut, baby!
Did you do
Snyder
it?
Cut!
Did you sign a petition, Frank?
Yes, I signed a petition. I signed anything that they put in front of me. I didn't give a
Frank
fuck
did
what I
it
had to do to make this thing happen.
single-handedly.
I gave blood, I gave sperm, I gave everything. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that
fucking,
solved everything.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, it's done. It is done, folks. It is confirmed. HBO Max is going to be showing the Snyder Cut in 2021. We have no idea what it's going to look like in terms of its format, or like, is it going to be a film? Is it going to be a mini series? There's all kinds of fucking rumors right now. We are so excited to talk about this. As you know, from day one, since you've probably been listening to this podcast, you've heard me talk about the Snyder Cut on a number of occasions, and you've heard these guys try and pull me down and make me not believe in the Snyder Cut. Well, I told you so, motherfuckers. So rock and roll.
There was a business opportunity for it. This is like a prime marketing opportunity. It's something the fans
and that's
want.
exactly what I said, and you guys still said never gonna happen.
I don't think
Never
they
gonna
cared
happen.
that much whether or not it happened. I think what I said was
well-
it's sad that people are putting so much energy into this and signing petitions.
That's exactly what you
instead
said.
of like actual petitions for real issues in the world.
What I said was, you're probably going to be disappointed because you're overhyping this so much. However, I am super excited myself. Probably not as excited as Frank is. And if Saba were here, she'd say you probably creamed your pants if when the announcement came out. Tell us how they announced it, Frank.
Oh, the moment?
Yep.
Oh, the moment. Okay, let's relive the moment. So I watched the Man of Steel screening with Zack Snyder this morning while I was working. Like, I was trying to balance my work and do this all at the same time. I was only really worried about what was going to happen at the end, so that's when I was paying the most attention. So what happened was the movie ended, and then, like, in the last scene, Zack brought in Henry Cavill into the stream.
How dope is that?
It was really cool, man. It was really cool, and he seems like such a nice guy. He's just so humble and just very earnest, and he just seems like a really cool dude. He brings him into the stream. They're shooting the shit for a while. They're talking about, memories of production and working on the movie, and Cavill's talking about what this meant to him in his career, and it was really, really cool to kind of see them have that conversation. And then they said, we're going to start taking some questions from people. I was like, okay, cool. And I went to pick up my phone and start texting questions into the text interface, and then all these windows started popping up in the Zoom conference. And I was like, how do I get in there? I was like, what the fuck? And as people are coming in, I'm analyzing every frame, right? I'm Googling the names of the people who are in this chat because I'm trying to make a connection that to figure out what's coming next, right? I'm not really getting anything back except for one guy. And one guy had released the Snyder Cut in his Twitter bio. So most of them are wearing these Justice League Snyder Cut t-shirts. Some of them are wearing some other Superman stuff, but they're all basically, there's some sort of some visual indication that they're DC fans, which was really cool. And they start kind of going through this exercise of asking these very monotonous questions, like questions that I'm sure Zack Snyder has answered a million times. I don't know whether it was just for show to kind of like build some suspense. I don't know what it was, but the last question asked was, when are we going to see the Snyder Cut? And Zack starts the conversation by going, well, it's not really up to me. Like, as he's always said, it's like, it's not really up to me. Like, I have it. Like, I've proven that it exists and blah, 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 blah. It's not really up to me. And they're starting to kind of, mill around what they really want to say. And Zack finally says to Henry, he's like, Henry, what do you think? You think we should potentially do this? You want to do this Snyder cut? And Henry's like, you know what? Like, I would love to get another shot at Justice League, as long as I don't have to have a mustache. Like,
Nice.
I'm good with that. Yeah, he was throwing shade at the mustache like you would not believe. It was really cool. And then as they were kind of building suspense, Zack was like, he's like, I don't really have anything that I can give you in terms of an answer, but I may have one thing. And that's when he like turned the camera around to his home projector, and there was that graphic of the Justice League with the Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max in 2021. And that was it. And all the Zack Snyder fans, the ones that were brought into that Zoom call, it was definitely pre-organized. I'm sorry, Zack, you're not pulling that shit over my, like, that's not happening. I can tell when something's pre-organized, and that was pre-organized. And as soon as it was done, as soon as he made the announcement, everybody just kind of started saying goodbye. It was almost like they were trying to get out of there as fast as they possibly could. And then that was it. And then I went back online, and Vanity Fair, I think, was the first one to post a story. And I think Hollywood Reporter followed up with something. And then comicbook.com grabbed it. And I posted it to our Instagram, and it was great. And I posted on Facebook as soon as I heard the announcement. Like, I basically had my fingers like just hovering above the keys waiting for that announcement. And I posted it to Facebook as soon as I heard it.
Yeah,
so,
he was actually texting us on our group chat. Like, guys, I think they're gonna announce something big. He felt it. He's like, oh, they're gonna announce something big this time around, guys. Watch it.
Yeah.
Snyder cut, and it actually happened. And I'm like, I just did an eye roll, but I was also very excited myself.
Yeah, I think this is a very significant moment in fandom. One, I think this is a very significant moment in entertainment, the business itself. You know, it sets a precedent that the fans can have this kind of impact and to kind of make things happen. You know, I'm not saying I want every Tom, Dick, and Harry to go out and try and,
that's a precarious
statement. Get Ryan Johnson to reshoot The Last Jedi because you didn't like it, right?
Oh, God.
The reason that this is I know. No, trust me, I don't want that. And I don't want anybody to reshoot The Force Awakens. Listen, okay? The thing with the Snyder Cut, I think people don't get, and why people were so passionate about making it happen, was because Zack suffered a tragedy in the middle of filming this movie. And he wanted to give it his best when he went on set that first day. He wanted to do the Justice League their due diligence and bring his vision to life. And he suffered a family tragedy, and he had to leave. And everybody would have done the same thing. I'm sorry, okay? Like, I don't care. Like I've seen people online saying shit along the lines of, like, you know, he dropped the ball. He didn't fucking drop the ball. He lost somebody in his family. Like, anybody would do that, okay?
Yeah, it was his daughter, wasn't
it? It was his daughter.
Yeah.
It was his daughter, she took her own life, and it's very sad, and Zack, and I'm talking about them like they're my best friends, but the Snyders, Zack and Debbie, they're, they've made a life out of bringing in, kids who have nobody. Like, they've adopted a lot of kids, and can tell that, a big part of what they want to do with their lives is just, spreading love and, building a family, whether it's by blood or not, and I think that's a very admirable thing. And, I have a lot of respect for them for that. I think they're great people. And again, let me get back to my point. The reason the Snyder Cut was so driven by passion and so driven by the fans was because we all know that Zack maybe got about a quarter of his story into that final theatrical version of Justice League. Everything else is Joss Whedon. Joss came in, he wrote 80 pages, and he shot 80 pages. Okay? And if you know the math of screenwriting, one page equals about 1 minute of screen time. So Joss Whedon basically shot 80 minutes of new film to try and merge with Zack Snyder's vision with whatever he had. And that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't work that way,
I was reading that there was also some pressure for him to put more focus on some of the new characters. And also make it less dark. Apparently, the Snyder Cut was supposed to be really dark, and Warner Brothers didn't necessarily want that because of feedback that was out on the internet from critics about BBS.
Well, see, like, that's the other thing. Zack has really got a fucking short stick from the studios he's worked with, you know? Watchmen, there's a director's cut for Watchmen, right? Because WB wanted a cut at a certain length and they got it for the theatrical release, and then Zack released another cut because he knew that the story wasn't complete.
They were probably going to have the
Superman?
same notes for Zack too. Like the studio's always going to have some kind of influence on how that goes, but maybe Joss like had his own ideas and wanted to put it in there. So,
well, yeah, you know, we'll get into what Joss did. Okay, you know, Joss. Okay, so the one thing I think we need to draw a line in, and you know, Chris, you've been very quiet. I want to get your feedback on this too, but the one thing we got to draw a line in is that the vision and the style of Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder is like Bob Dylan and Justin Bieber. I'm not saying skill wise. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they speak two completely different languages.
Yep.
When it comes to filmmaking and when it comes to storytelling, they speak two completely different languages. And when you try and merge, you know, two separate visions of two filmmakers who see things very differently and like to do very different things, Justice League is what you get. The theatrical cut is what you get. Now, I'm actually not a hater of the Justice League movie. I'm not. I actually enjoyed it.
Some of my issues were with the pacing, so possibly that could be addressed in a different cut of the movie.
Oh, of course it's going to be addressed. He has nothing but time now, which is fantastic, right? So the great thing about this is Zack can go back. He can look at all the things, all the trouble spots of the movie, and he can correct them. And he can give us the story that we've been promised, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's important. But like, I just want people to understand that it's not fair what happened to Zack as an artist, okay? And it's not fair that he takes the blame for the shortcomings of Justice League or the box office performance of Justice League. It's not his fault.
Yeah,
okay, he had nothing to do with it.
No, but the thing is, like,
No,
they
Go ahead,
pretty
Chris.
much like went all in on the Snyderverse with the previous movies before Justice League, and it's like the tonal change. Obviously, that was more predicated to circumstance than like trying to appeal to a wider audience. But you can't argue that like Justice League was changed tonally to match a lighter thing because that's more of a catch-all. But the thing is, like, they should have all in on the Snyderverse because that was your character, that was your like your theme, your like kind of identity, right? And like Joss Whedon definitely, I don't want to say told the company line, the corporate line, but like he was probably told go the lighter note because it sells better, right? And it's like I agree with Frank where it's like where it's like go in on your artist, man. That's how you get your unique vision. That's how you get your like what separates you from the other franchises out there. And it's like obviously a lot of this gets kind of circumstances weren't perfect for this, but the whole tonal change, yeah, you're right, like Snyder should not be blamed for that, but that was the kind of like sinking factor for Justice League, right?
Yeah, sure. But okay, so let's talk about the tonal elements of what Zack Snyder was trying to create, right? Okay, so Marvel is definitely a lot sunnier, a lot more optimistic, a lot more levity, a lot more humor, right? I think that they've done a good job of establishing their brand to be that way. And I think Zack Snyder was headed in the right direction with DC because I think that he brought the tone of the comic books to life.
100%.
Like I really feel like he did, you know? And I'm not saying that DC across the board, every comic is grim and dark and menacing. It's not, you know, there's lots of light and airy stories within the DC universe. However, if you look at the greater majority of the successes within DC, they all share this tone.
Yeah.
They all share this tone, right?
I think it's a tone that you get a lot with Batman And then even Superman, it's pretty serious, and the focus is always on like morality, right and wrong, and like there's race issues in there, so that kind of stuff, like accepting people who are different from us, all that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
think
Yeah.
it's a fairly serious tone.
Yeah, no, you know, it is a serious tone. And I don't know if you guys recently saw the story floating around about the other Batman v Superman movie, but apparently it had way more murder than this one. Or sorry, like way more darker themes than the Batman v Superman that we got from Zack
Mm.
Snyder. And Colin Farrell, I think, was playing Superman or Batman, and Jude Law was going to play Superman. That was, and it's this other movie, and yeah. So I think we should cover that for our films that were never made series, the one that we're doing with Daredevil and Justice League Mortal and all that. But yeah, so no, I just want to go back real quick, and you know, Chris is right. Like, you can't put a guy in a sandbox and tell him he can only play with a quarter of it.
Or
That's not-
like wait till he builds half of it and says like, and then you tell him like, oh
Exactly.
no, that's not that lady over there doesn't like it. Rebuild it, right? Like, but my
Exactly.
question
I
to you,
think
Frank,
that is
is
what happened. I do think the
Yeah.
studio
Which
had
is like a
something to
shame,
do
yeah.
with the total shift.
Well,
And I think they also on purpose picked someone with a different vision too. They took advantage of
okay.
the situation,
Yeah.
I think.
So
Sure.
So my question to you, Frank, actually is like,
Shoot,
since
bro.
the tragedy, would you have trusted some other person with that with the Snyderverse vision, or would you actually, because that's a strange one, because it's like essentially an unfinished movie that's hinging on one artist to kind of direct into his tonal like his tonal creation, essentially, right? Because he created pretty much the vision for this. Do you entrust that vision to a new director, or do you just do what they did, which is like, hey, Josh Whedon, like, bring your own energy to this, right?
Well, here's the thing, Chris, and I think you'll agree with me on this. Besides Endgame and besides Infinity War, the darkest MCU movie is without a doubt Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I agree.
And Joss was behind the wheel of that.
Yeah, but
Right?
but
And-
dark isn't a by itself the only thing that Snyderverse is, right? It's there's
Right.
so many clockwork, like there's so many gears to that clockwork, right? Like, my question is like, do you give Joss Whedon, somebody who's taking over this half finished project, do you give him creative freedom to rewrite and recreate and reshape, or do you just tell him like, try your best to do this like Snyderverse version, like finish the Snyderverse vision? Because it's very hard to like tell a director like, here's a
Yeah.
project, but you can't do
Yeah.
it the way you want to do it. You have to do it the way this person who's no longer able to do it like started it, right?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Okay, so here's what I think happened behind the scenes. Okay, this is my theory. So after Man of Steel, everybody got a little outraged about Superman killing Zod, even though he had to. Okay, I'm sorry.
I love that, man. Get over it, guys.
It was great.
It was great.
It was great. It was fucking great. Zod was gonna barbecue those poor
Yeah.
people in the corner in the train station, and Superman did not want to
And he was
sacrifice their lives.
and it's like, that's the best. Like, those are the best kinds of Superman stories you can tell. Yes, you can
Exactly.
argue it was too soon, but the thing is, like, we've had how many Superman movies before?
Exactly.
If we can all agree that that's a cool story for Superman to do, like, why not do it in the first movie? And like, just
Exactly.
I love that. I don't care. I love that,
Exactly. Perfect choice, right? Perfect
Yeah.
character choice. Okay.
and it broke him too.
Yeah, it broke
Yeah.
him. He was crying, dude. It's the first time we've ever seen
Yeah.
Superman cry.
I thought that was like,
It was
I
fantastic.
thought that was a really good emotional payoff for that movie, and I wouldn't have traded
Oh.
it for anything, honestly.
Yeah.
so good.
And for what they're
So
doing,
good.
like, how can you fight a war and never kill anyone?
Exactly,
Like,
yes, thank you.
It's not realistic, right? Eventually, it's gonna happen where somebody
Yeah.
might die because of what you're doing.
Yeah,
So-
and it's
Sure.
more than that too, because the whole thing with Superman is that like, I can afford not I can afford to have these moral lines that I don't cross because I'm powerful enough to do it. But like, that's why that whole thing of him killing Zod was so important, was because what if somebody out there, another being, can put you in a position where you don't have that luxury, right? That's
Exactly.
why it was such a genius thing. It's like, like,
Exactly.
the reason why people are mad about it is the exact reason why that scene needed to happen, was because like,
Yep.
because he was as mad as you guys were, the fans, that he had to kill someone, right? The character itself, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, you were making a point before I
and
interrupted you. Go ahead.
yeah, no, dude, no, like you hit the nail on the head. Okay, so the fans who see Superman in a certain way reacted badly to MOS, right? Okay, fair enough. Okay, then BVS happens. Warner Brothers releases a theatrical cut of the film that Snyder probably did not sign off on, sadly. And then we get the Ultimate Edition, which I think is also the extended cut, or there's also the extended cut. But once you get the extended cut and you see the extended cut, all the criticisms against the theatrical cut are null and void. The whole thing about not being able to understand Lex's plot and not being able to understand the story and not being able to understand why this character made this decision and why this character made that decision. All that shit goes away when you actually watch the entire story that Zack Snyder wanted to tell. So everything that derailed the DCEU from going in the direction that it was going was all because of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's a business thing for sure. Yeah,
exactly. It was all the interference, right? If Zack Snyder had been allowed to tell the story that he wanted to tell, I don't think we would even be having a hashtag about release the Snyder cut. We would have got it, right? Because like what I think happened was, and granted, an act of God intervened in this situation 100%, and it'll always baffle me as to why this timing. But when you have that kind of negative PR floating around your production studio and around the brand and around these characters, and then the director who got you that negative PR can no longer complete the vision that he has created, your default, sadly, in your little reptilian brain is like, okay, I need to do whatever I can to try and save my studio. Okay, the fans hated, according to these fans, they hated the darker DC. They hated Batman with a gun. They hated Superman killing.
Except if you're now Warner Brothers, you're going to call them consumers.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like they're looking at everything on a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
And they basically say, okay, well, listen, we got to course correct. How do we fix this? I know. Let's get the one guy who's done a team up superhero movie and had success with it, Joss Whedon, right? And they go and get the guy who did Avengers, and they bring him in, and they're like, Whedonize this. Take this Snyder shit and Whedonize it. Like, make it better, make it more palatable, make it happier. And then there's this gigantic tonal shift between Man of Steel, BVS, and then Justice League. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense, right? And Jeff Johns, sadly, he's the guy that should step in and say, hey guys, listen, we did MOS, we did BVS, we're kind of headed in this direction with this darker, more grimier, more contrasting, these beautiful cinematics. They're headed in this direction, and then they're like, okay, let's bring in Joss Whedon and have him course correct everything with 80 minutes of film. That's fucking stupid. That is so dumb. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
Well, there's one thing I did want to, like, before we move on, like, I agreed with like most of what you said. The only thing is, I think there were actually some problems I had with Batman v Superman, that didn't have to do with like kind of the business side shackling Snyder.
Are you talking about the ultimate cut though, Chris? Are you talking about like the extended cut?
I don't exactly know. Mostly revolving Lex. Like, I just didn't agree with what they did with Lex. Like the rewrites. However, like, yeah, I do for the most part agree that a lot of it was just like the shackling of the creative mind of Zack Snyder that kind of led to this like mismatch disaster. But yeah, I don't know. It's sad to see when the business, like the business boardroom, is like interfering in the creative writing room, right?
Yeah. Which choices with Lex Luthor were you in most disagreement with?
Making him this like younger billionaire, this like modern day
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, like I'm sure Zuckerberg could have done a version like it's not really his performance because the character was written. I actually don't know if the character was written around him or for him, or he was written and then they hired him after. But I just don't like the whole like younger than Superman kind of like this kind of I don't want to say like child billionaire, but like this like modern day entrepreneurial like dude that's kind of like twitchy and a little bit, right? Like he didn't really own any room that he was in. He's just kind of like a little ratty, a little, yeah, I don't know. Like there's a few things.
Oh, okay.
There's just like a few things I didn't like about it.
So he isn't as cocksure as he's been in other mediums. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Could you argue though that because of the age of Luthor, it kind of made sense almost? Like he was.
That's my problem. Is like why age him down?
Yeah.
He should have been like for me it was always this like thing where like Superman is this like this dude that I'm a symbol, I'm this, I'm that, and Luthor has always been
Right.
like you're idealistic and you're naive, and I'm not. I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah.
But like when you have this
Yeah.
like kid that's kind of younger than him, he just seems like he's the inexperienced one who thinks he knows better, right? And the thing that I really love about Lex Luthor is that like he knows better. He knows it, and he tells you that he knows better than you do, even though Superman's the main character.
True.
Like Lex Luthor
True.
always seems like he knows something more than Superman does, and like Zuckerberg doesn't really sell that to me, right? And he should have been
No,
bald
you
from the beginning.
No. Yeah, no, dude, you make a great point. You really do make like a very legitimate point. Like he definitely is, that kind of neurotic tech, Silicon Valley tech archetype,
like the modern day billionaires.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. He's definitely got that vibe going on. He almost reminds me of Thomas Middleditch in the first season of Silicon Valley when he can't get anything done right. Like he almost reminds me of that guy. However, like I could see the argument as to why he would be like that. There is a lot of backstory about Luthor and his parents and abuse and all kinds of other things that have kind of come to light through other mediums. So I don't know whether Snyder carried that over or not.
Yeah.
But there is a possibility.
Don't get me
that,
wrong. There's
but-
a lot about his character that I really like. The whole devils don't come from don't come from
Fantastic.
like the ground. They come from the sky. Like I love that whole
Yes.
thing where it's just what
Yeah.
did he say about like the capes are coming or something? Well, like something.
The red capes are
yeah,
coming.
yeah,
The red
I like
capes
that whole
are coming.
thing.
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
a lot of the things that was written on paper about him probably.
Yeah.
The concept of his character, but like not his performance, but the actual what I saw on screen. Because I don't want to take anything away from the actor. Like it's not necessarily that I dislike. It was just the rendition of that. But on paper, it probably sounded nice. You know what I mean?
So, okay, I'm going to say one more thing on Lex Luthor, and I want to see what you say about this. So, I felt the same way you did when I first saw this movie, okay? Like, kind of very close to it. But after I saw that scene where he has the balls to pull out that Jolly Rancher and push it into that senator's mouth while he's negotiating with them, I was like, this guy's a beast.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care how fucking neurotic he is. This dude's a beast because he just put his hands on a U.S. fucking senator. Like, that's pretty goddamn gangster.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the fuck? And then the way that he dealt with Superman on the top of the LexCorp tower when he tells him about his mom, that was fucking beastly too, dude. That was pretty dope.
And
But-
also speaking of mom, the Martha thing.
oh, the
Get
Martha
outta
thing.
here. I don't know. I don't know what you think about
Yeah.
that, but like there was this huge thing where it's like, oh, Batman's gonna beat him in a moral battle, and it's not gonna be a physical battle. Like I was looking for that. I was looking for Batman to outsmart him morally, but really, what happened was they had the same mother. Like they had the same name for their mothers. That's how you won the argument. Oh, okay, let's.
Yeah, but
Or
dude,
that's
but
how
dude,
they came together.
okay,
Sorry,
okay.
not won the argument.
Yeah, but Batman was like so set on killing Superman. He didn't give a fuck. Like,
No, I get it.
Like-
Like it humanized him, I
Yeah.
guess. But like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
listen, I like I like that idea of like, oh, he finally gets humanized in the eyes of Batman, but that wasn't the punchline that I like. That wasn't the delivery that we deserved. I don't think, because it's like, well, oh,
Okay.
I have a mother, therefore I'm human.
Okay.
That's not like, it doesn't excuse you from being this super powerful dude that I have to stop because no one should have this kind of power. Because that was the argument that Batman had, right? So it's like you having a mother that like makes you like, I don't know if your mother didn't abuse you when you were a child. Like it doesn't prove anything to Batman, really. But anyways, let's move on.
Sure. Yeah, no, you definitely make a valid point. So, yeah, if we're going to move on, the one thing I want to really touch on before we end this episode is the future of DC now.
Mhm.
Okay. After what we've heard about what's happening with the Green Lantern franchise, what's happening with HBO Max, Doom Patrol is being moved over to HBO Max. The Harley Quinn show, I think, is being moved over to HBO Max. DC Universe seems to be on a very large upswing right now. Their comic readership was up like 45% last because of the whole COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like they're poised to start eating Marvel's lunch, because if you take who they're bringing into their next big projects, like if you take the Justice League and you compare them to the Marvel heroes that we're getting in the next slate, it's not even a fight.
It's not comparable.
It's not even.
I've
fight,
often said
man.
it that the glory of Marvel is moving into Disney Plus, and the phases are gonna start like tapering off. I'm not like holding anything against. I mean, like, there's X-Men still. X-Men's a heavy hitter for sure.
Yes,
but
heavy
like
hitter as
it's
fuck,
their
dude.
glory. Like, it's, you know what I mean. Like, X-Men is a bright light in a setting sun. You know what I mean. So I do think that like DC is definitely poised to do it, especially in the silver screen and probably not the streaming, because I feel like Marvel is still kind of on the upswing. And when it comes to Disney Plus, because like all my favorite titles are going to Disney Plus, and who knows what else they're gonna do, right? But my problem is like the Snyder cut, like it's not gonna change their directionless like
wait. That's definitely something I want.
Go ahead.
No. I want you to finish your point, but that's definitely something I want to talk about.
So
sorry.
pretty much I'm just
Go
saying
ahead.
that like it doesn't change which way the ship is pointing, because who's at the helm, right? Like I still don't know, because like I still want like what identity are we going with? Are we going Snyderverse still, or are we going Aquaman, like Aquaman bright color thing? Like I'm still unsure, but you prove me wrong. I don't know. I actually don't know.
Okay. No, you make a lot of valid points. Christina, what do you think about where DC is poised right now versus Marvel?
I don't like
kind
to
of see
compare. I think they do have different tones, and I kind of like appreciate parts of each.
Yeah, they're different songs, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to listen to the same song all the time.
I do think it's exactly like how you listen to different bands, or it's not like you listen to all bands from the same label or something. Like, that would be weird.
Exactly.
I don't know, because Marvel, it seems like they're still telling more cohesive stories and everything is tied together, and they're not really like rebooting anything. I just see more rebooting and reshifting and rejigging happening in DC. And it does seem like they're even redoing Batman and stuff, so nothing is going to be tied to the movies we've seen before. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like, I would like to see them bring in more different characters, tell different stories, like show us some more of these other films, because I enjoyed Aquaman, I enjoyed Shazam. I want to see some more different stuff. So that's kind of what I think. I'm really excited about Wonder Woman 1984. Like, to me, that is a little different, and I do want to see like where they're going with that. Even the new Batman, it seems like it could be a little different too. Even like the casting choices they did are a little bit, they're younger people, so I think it will have a different tone and a different vibe as well. So yeah, I think there's definitely potential, but I still think the Marvel movies are going to be bigger.
See, that's exactly what I'm worried about. Is what you said, Christina. Is that's exactly what I'm worried about, is because we don't know what do you call that? The new Batman's gonna be like. but we know that the Wonder Woman's gonna be this like brighter, lighter thing, and we have Aquaman. But it seems like the Batman's gonna go back into kind of like, well, it's Detective Batman, but it's gonna go into this like film. I'm guessing film noir-ish type thing. So like right now, I'm getting dots all over my radar. Like it's kind of just like it's kind of directionless because it's like these independent projects that I don't even know if it's in the same universe, because we all know Wonder Woman is with Ben Affleck's version of Batman. Where does Matt Reeves' Batman fit in? That's what I mean about directionless.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
doesn't
think
seem
that
as
they don't have a
cohesive
plan,
as the
but
Marvel timeline.
mm-hmm.
And I definitely think the Marvel stories have like crazy potential. The only thing I could see if DC starts to do multiverses as well, and
Yeah,
if they do Justice League right, sorry, Green Lanterns, if they do the Green Lantern Corps, I could see that taking things in like a crazy direction, and that could bring like crazy stories into it.
Which is
Yeah,
a
they
thing
can
I've
bring-
often advocated, which is like they kind of follow the same line as the animated universe and just have different tones and explore different projects. But you guys have already pointed out the problems with that. It's no one's gonna be able to follow it. But I do think that is an interesting route if they could just like jump around, because they already did Infinite Crisis anyways in the TV universe, right?
Yeah,
anyways.
like you're just not gonna have
Exactly.
the same audience behind every movie if
Yeah.
you don't have that cohesive direction, right? You're gonna be
Yeah.
tapping into like
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
audiences for
You'll be
certain
everywhere.
movies instead of building up this like crazy intense fanboy
Yeah,
fangirl base
yeah,
like how
yeah.
Marvel has, right?
And in the DC universe, like that, the audience is built in because the people that watch I meant DC animated universe. The audience is built in because people who read the comics are the ones that watch these animated movies.
Yeah.
But it's a risk to do that in silver screen because obviously, like you want the same audience because you don't want to be dividing people. So I don't know if they're gonna go for that gamble. They're not the biggest gamblers, I don't think so.
Okay, so let's talk about the state of the current DC universe, okay? Because that's really what where I'm headed with this stuff.
Yeah, educate me, man.
So, okay, I feel like Zack Snyder has never left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I'll
don't
tell
feel
you why.
that. I don't get that vibe.
Okay, I'll tell you
maybe
why.
before Shazam, dude.
Yeah, I really don't feel like he's
Okay,
left.
okay.
Okay, and the way I'm gonna make that argument is I've done a little bit of research. Okay, and apparently James Wan was consulting with Zack Snyder on Aquaman during the production, and the studio didn't know about it. So Zack Snyder's DNA is in Aquaman. Okay, Zack Snyder's DNA is in Wonder Woman. I think he was a producer on it, to be honest. And the whole Wonder Woman story comes out of Zack Snyder, right? Like the introduction of Wonder Woman came from Zack Snyder.
Mhm.
The setting for that story comes from Zack Snyder. The alternative setting that could have been came from Zack Snyder, right? They were talking about having it in a different war than World War One. That was Zack Snyder's idea, right? And the photo of Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman, everything that ties into that World War One timeline, that's Zack Snyder, right? Shazam, Freddy worships Superman and he worships Batman, and he worships which versions of Superman and Batman? The Zack Snyder versions of Superman and Batman. So I don't feel like Zack Snyder has ever even left, right? And then Chris, you brought up the Infinite Crisis storyline that was shown in the miniseries on television,
Mhm.
right? What happened at the end of that series?
They reset everything.
We got to see all these different versions of Earth
Yeah.
as it was reborn, right? Doom Patrol had its own Earth. Supergirl was merged into the Flash's Earth. The Titans had their own Earth, right? The Titans on Netflix, or the DC Universe Titans, they had their own Earth, right? What if DC is in the early stages of planning a multiverse?
Yeah, man. That's exactly what I advocated for, and I'm so down. Like, do it, man. Trust the fans and just do it. Do the multiverse.
That is crazy if they pull that shit off.
Because then you can give creative control solely to the director, and not have to worry about like bending everything so that it fits a certain, like, give the Matt Reeves Batman exactly what they want, and then like if and then it's self-contained universe, you can't screw it up, right? Yeah, I definitely would be so down for that.
Okay, so what do we think about that? 'Cause you remember we reported on the story that James Gunn and J.J. Abrams were poised to basically take over creative control of
Yeah,
the DC film universe, right? And kind of start to push it in a certain direction, right? Do we still think that is the case? Like, clearly James Gunn is working on Suicide Squad. We
Yeah.
know that for sure, right? Like, he's in the middle of editing that right now.
I just don't see them go like reversing that decision from a business point, like Warner Brothers. Like I don't see them reversing that decision.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like from a business perspective, because it's like, why wouldn't you want a centralized like Brainiac, if I may use that anecdote,
Yeah.
to control the entire universe, right? The wishful thinker in me wants to say that like give them more of a producer role and kind of do the multiverse and just have do the infinite universes and just have them all self-contained. But that's me being like a dreamer. I don't know, man. Like from a business perspective, I can't see. That's a financial risk is what it is. The only way they can do that is if they actually have a meeting of like damage control and say like if the meeting was actually nothing's working, what else can we try? And somebody brings this up and sells it. But that's that's a hard sell, right? Like you can see how that's a hard sell, because it's like we're betting individual. Wow, I do a lot of anecdotes this episode. I don't know, whatever metaphors. Like you're like essentially like splitting your franchise and kind of selling it piecemeal to your audience, which could potentially divide them all, which means you don't get all of them all at once to anything. So I don't know, like I wanted it to happen, but from a business perspective, I just don't know if Warner Brothers has, I guess, the balls to do it.
Right. Well, JJ's already been contracted. Like Bad Robot already is in the pre-production processes for Justice League Dark, right? So if they're already in the pre-production processes, that's definitely happening. James Gunn is obviously working on Suicide Squad. I hope to God that Zack Snyder has some sort of pre-existing relationship with these two guys. I love Zack Snyder. I love his work. I love his vision. Yeah. I just love his approach to filmmaking. I think I think Zack Snyder's biggest strength in filmmaking is bringing in so many elements of the real world that the fictional starts to become more believable, right? Like in that scene in BVS where Neil deGrasse Tyson is sitting down with that blogger who originally leaked the story about Superman back in MOS and those other pundits, and they're talking about the reality of this demigod coming to Earth and what it will do to the framework of society and all these big, questions that need to be asked. That's something that would happen in real life if there actually was a fucking like Superman, somebody from another planet who had these kinds of powers. People would get on TV and try and make sense of it, right? And in MOS, the way that the military's like, we need to talk to you. We need to know who you are. Like, we need to, sit down with you eye to eye and make sure you're not a fucking psychopath and you're not going to kill us all. That would happen,
Great scene,
and I think
by the way.
Zack, fantastic, right? Fantastic. And I don't know if you know this. I think we talked about this before. But when Superman breaks his cuffs, stands up and walks towards the double glass, when he walks towards the glass and Swanwick doesn't even move away from it, that was the hint that was the Martian Manhunter.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Because he could read his mind, right? Like he knew he wasn't a threat. Yeah. So and he could read his mind. So
Superman, come on.
Right, exactly. So Swanwick is apparently supposed to be the Martian Manhunter. He's supposed to be John Jones. Yeah, pretty rad, right? So and honestly, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna have another episode where we go through the story for the Justice League Snyder Cut trilogy and break it down, because there's so much to talk about.
And obviously,
Green Lanterns.
When Snyder Cut gets released, we're obviously gonna watch it and let you guys know what we think of it.
Right, dude.
That's
fucking right. But we're years away from that. Or a year
is that?
away from
That's
that.
what they said. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2021, so we're not getting it just yet. But what can you do? What can you do? But yeah, no, like I really look forward to what the future of DC has in front of it now more than ever. The one thing I want to cover before we go though is Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen here. I have no clue. And Ray Fisher is apparently totally on board. Jason Momoa, he got on Instagram yesterday and made a video. It was like, release the fucking Snyder Cut. Woo! Right? Like typical Jason Momoa kind of style thing to do. Gal Gadot, she knows about it. She hashtagged for release of Snyder Cut. Ben Affleck hashtagged for release of Snyder Cut. But here's the thing. Matt Reeves has his own Batman coming out. The Ben Affleck Batman is supposed to be in his late 40s, going into 50. Isn't that the case? Like around there? Like he's an older Batman, he's right? Obviously, right?
Dark Knight Returns Batman, yeah.
Right. So what happens to Snyder's version of Batman now, one, and then Ezra Miller, he got in trouble in Iceland for physically assaulting that woman. And nobody wants him to be the Flash anymore. He got booted out of his own movie.
Oh, that's too bad.
Like he's out.
He was like so fun.
Yeah, but he hurt a woman.
I know,
dude.
I get that.
Wait,
I'm saying it's too bad he
what?
did that
What
because
is
I actually
this?
liked. He was one of my favorite characters.
Oh,
one of my
like-
favorite parts of the Justice League.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you talking about the actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ezra Miller.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he assaulted some woman in a
Dang,
bar,
okay.
and the internet went fucking buck wild, and they were like, okay, we don't want him as Flash anymore.
That sucks. His scenes were like my favorite in the movie.
It was pretty funny.
I'm gonna go on the record right now, and I'm gonna fully endorse Grant Gustin.
Yes, I
to
was
pick
just
up
about to say that.
the Flash.
Do it,
please.
We all want it,
Please.
And in the beginning of this episode, we were just talking about how the fans, which by the way, we got to talk about in a different episode because I'm iffy about this whole thing about fans being able to interrupt or shape movie projects. But
Yes,
since
I
we
agree.
like
I agree.
the positive of that is just please do that. Like we all want Grant Gustin as the Flash. Like let's do this, please. I'm so down, and I think Saba would agree with me because she loves the Flash TV show as well. What do you think, Christina? Are you down for Grant?
I haven't watched the TV show. I'm just I was just talking about the Flash from the movie, but I'm not sure if it's the same guy or not. I forget. But yeah.
But it's not about Ezra
shit,
Miller. That's
wait.
for sure. What?
Oh man, they may have fucked it up already
Why?
because in Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Yeah.
there's Ezra's Flash and then there's Grant's
no,
Flash.
that's a good thing. That means
I know, but they're establishing them as two different Flashes.
Yeah, so he can enter the movie universe as a different version of the Flash. What's wrong with that?
Huh.
Right? Like we have
All right.
multiple Flashes in the same universe. Why can't we have a different Barry Allen? You know?
Yeah, I guess that may work.
Yeah, like
I guess that
what
may
if they
work.
kill off Ezra Miller's version of Flash, but they still need a Flash, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, there's
So-
some creative writing opportunities here.
Oh, there's insane creative writing opportunities. I think if the Flash movie rumors are true about Flashpoint, that's all they got to do to kind of set
yes.
everything on the right path, right? That's all they got to do.
If they ever do a Flashpoint
So-
paradox, I'm gonna go crazy.
Oh yeah, no, I want Flashpoint Paradox so bad. Continuities kind of merging and crossovers and fucking multiverse stuff. Rock and roll. Let's do it.
I don't
Like,
think anything's
seriously.
going back though, just because they're releasing the Snyder cut. I think they're just showing respect for Zack Snyder and his work.
No, I don't think that's the case. I really
You
don't think that's
so?
the case.
That's what, I don't know. That's what
Yeah,
I feel.
no. Yeah, Christina, I gotta push back on that a little bit. I really think that this is a step by DC to reestablish the Snyder version of the DC universe, and I think it's evident because there's rumors already that Henry Cavill is going to be up for Man of Steel 2, and that DC has steered away from their Supergirl project to refocus on Superman. So I think Henry Cavill is kind of going to be he's going to be Superman again, which again ties back into Zack Snyder's version of DC. I think that this is obviously a litmus test to see if this movie has the impact that people suspect it will. And if it's successful, whether it's done in a miniseries or a movie, if it's successful, I think Snyder will get to finish his trilogy.
Oh,
Like he'll get to tell the entire story.
yeah, okay, I could see
Right?
that, but I think they're also
Yeah.
going to keep doing different things with
Expanding,
some of the
yeah.
other characters. Like I see Wonder Woman
Oh, I see that too. Yeah, of
1984 as like
course.
an offshoot in a different direction.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
but
I
it's
agree
that's
with
the thing.
both
It's
of you.
definitely not an offshoot because it's a prequel, right?
No,
Yeah,
I-
but
I
I
think
think
she
I
moves
think they want to
tonally.
see how that does, like a different style of
Yeah.
movie, and I think they
Yeah.
might try to do that. They might try to do some
I,
things. in,
yeah,
like,
I think
different
I think
style.
Christina meant tonally, like an offshoot, like they're trying a different feel to the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think that's fair. Yeah, and then obviously Matt Reeves has got his Batman, and then there's supposed to be this Flash movie. Whether it'll be the Flash that we know from the Snyderverse or not, that's kind of left to be seen. But yeah, no, the future is very, very promising for DC. I think,
So
which is exciting.
I guess what I'm trying to say is they don't want it to just be a Snyderverse. They want there
Mm-hmm.
to be like other flavors as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think that's what Chris is saying too
Yeah.
about the multiverse theory. Like they're gonna actually bring in a multiverse, but you know what's funny? If they did it after they did Crisis to destroy the multiverses and then they reestablish the multiverses, that's kind of wild. But they could be trying to counteract Marvel because Marvel is about to start doing their multiverse shit. That's definitely gonna happen. There's gonna be Earth 616 and all that kind of stuff for sure. So who knows what's gonna happen with that. The other thing I wanted to, before we go, just want to get your thoughts on this. Does Kevin Feige, does he change his timeline on X-Men and Fantastic Four to combat the reemergence of the Justice League?
Ah, if
I
it's
don't- I
if
don't get
it's
the
realistic,
question.
I guess. Like if it's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So the question is this. So Feige is still sitting in early stages of development on X-Men and Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Avengers are now going to be the new Avengers. Then there's not going to be any Avengers until another phase, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is DC is getting a second shot with the Justice League, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's successful, do they start taking taking the fans away from the Marvel team movies more towards and having them lean more towards favorability towards DC's style, right? Because Justice League Dark is being done by J.J. Abrams, and then Justice League Normal, right? So what I'm saying is does Kevin Feige try and counteract this by bringing the X-Men to us faster or Fantastic Four to us faster?
I think
Okay.
they have a lot of faith in their next phase movies.
I think they do too.
But
Yeah.
I think if it's realistic within the same year, they'll move dates around. That's happened, right? Like people
Right.
move their release dates, but I don't think they'll push pre-production on anything because they trust all of their projects, right?
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about Marvel Phase 4 and Phase 5. I think we're going to start to see a lot of different things. And I think they're going to set it up. They're setting up the universe for some crazy things to happen. And I guess
Oh, for sure.
Doctor Strange's movie is going to be like the climax of all of that. So I'm definitely interested to see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm totally stoked
And
for this
I
for sure.
think it's just a different thing. Like to me, I don't think Foggy should worry about Justice League. I don't think he should worry about DC. I think he should just focus on making his universe the best it can possibly be. And if there's two good comic book universes out there, some people are going to watch both, and some are going to watch
Yeah.
one or the other.
Well, that's
and
the dream.
that's it. I don't think it necessarily has to be like a head-to-head competition. I think they're different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the one thing I like about our show is that all four of us are fans of both and we're not, we don't discriminate based on brand, And it's crazy those fans too, like the ones you run into, they're just like, "No, man, I don't read any Marvel. I don't watch any Marvel. I just love DC." Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Like
And I
Like,
met
it doesn't
people
make
who
any
hate
sense.
DC too. Like I don't hate DC. I'm not a fan of most of Snyder's work. I like some of it. I do find his movies drag on a little too much and they're a little too dark. It's not my favorite thing, but like I appreciate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
And
well,
yeah.
they make you think. That's what I really like about Snyder.
Yeah.
They make you think. They're they're thought provoking. They spark conversation. Like what he does with religious themes is pretty astounding, and I really like
Yeah.
it. So, anyways,
But that doesn't mean I'm not
yeah, so-
excited for the stuff that's coming up. So
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Well, I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you again for joining us. We are so stoked about this news. I've been a proponent of this since I heard about it, since I started hearing talk about what actually was in Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, and I really want to see it. So I'm excited that it's finally going to happen. I couldn't ask for anything more. I think this has been one of the greatest weeks in fandom. Lots of great Star Wars news, lots of great, this news about Zack Snyder. It's getting exciting. It's a great time to be a nerd, for sure. It's a fantastic time to be a nerd. Whether you're a long-time listener or you just started listening to the show, if you like the show, we would love if you could head over to Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher and drop us a review. We're actively doing whatever we can to try and improve this show, and the best way to do that is with real-time feedback from you guys, our listeners. And, any thoughts, any feelings, any insights, please do share them with us. We want to make this show better for everybody. And if you know anybody who would like this type of content, people who are into comic books and sci-fi and anime, drop them a link to our show. Let them check it out for themselves. We'd really, really appreciate it. So we're going to sign off here. Your co-hosts for today have been Frank McGuire,
Christina Dudamo,
Chris Ibana.
and our producer was Beatrice Ledesma.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.